Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today we have 2 bounty hunters, 1 ruthless outlaw, and a whole lot of bullets. Welcome to the wild world of spaghetti westerns, Sergio Leone style. We are taking a look at Arrow Video's 4K release of For a Few Dollars More. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. Alright, so my fellow Arrow Video film freaks, nerds, all of you guys out there, I got this in my hands early, and today, I couldn't wait to talk about it. I watched it last night. I've actually had this for a couple of days already, and this is 100% Sergio Leone country here. I don't think I saw men blink more than once in this movie. The sun seems to never set. It's like there's almost no nighttime stuff. But this movie came out in 1965, and it is the sequel. I mean, it's basically a sequel, but it's a sequel kind of in vibes only. It's not like tied to the plot of A Fistful of Dollars. But it is technically a sequel and is part of the Dollars trilogy, the Man with No Name trilogy, the Man Who Wears a Cool Poncho Squints a Lot trilogy. And I really like this one, I think, better than the first one. Maybe that's sacrilege, because is it just some people could say it's just a fistful of dollars with like better hats and more killing, and we're gonna get to the killing at the end. I'm going to do a little homage to Joe Bob Briggs, because I went through and counted up a bunch of stuff, and I love Joe Bob Briggs, so I'm going to do the AVA Pop Culture style roundup on this thing with the kind of pop culture total, icon totals, because it is definitely got more of that in it than the first, but in my mind, this is more like the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy. This might be my favorite of the trilogy, and I think it's definitely, I like it better than the first one. I do. The intro, bringing in Lee Van Cleef, adds something to it, and we're going to get to the 4K quality of this. This thing was restored from the original camera negative. It's also a 2-perf. I explained that last time on there, so I'll try to link my video to the first in this trilogy, so it kind of explain that. Also explains why maybe you get a little more grain, and we'll get into all that for sure. So the big twist in this one, though, is Clint is not the Man with No Name is not the only bounty hunter in town. This is where you get Lee Van Cleef strolling in as Colonel Douglas Mortimer, and he's not playing like a happy, smiling Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky guy that he did in the past. This is a very different, more serious Lee Van Cleef, and you see that right from the beginning when he pulls like the train emergency stop and all that kind of stuff, and gets off, and he shows the guy his gun belt, and he ain't taking any sass. And there is some great shots in this, including a literal shot made from a long-range rifle that I don't even think probably would have existed at that time, like because this would have been like the 1870s, early 1870s. I'm not for sure that a rifle of the long-range distance that is used in this really was, I don't know. I'm not a gun expert, but there's a scene too where the opening credits, this is going to touch on the 4K a little bit. Don't give up on this 4K because of the long opening holding scene on the guy riding on the horse in the very, very distance. This is where the titles come up, and maybe I'll have some footage. I never know what footage I can put in or not. Don't give up on it here, because I think because that's where the titles are, they may not have been able to do as much with that as they could with the rest of the film, because even though it's bright light there, it is super grainy. You see lots of scratches coming in and out in that scene, but it looks like it looks completely the rest of the movie looks completely different. So I imagine it has something to do with that, the title sequence being footage being over that footage, the title sequence being over that footage. I don't know that for sure, but that would be my guess, because it doesn't really, the quality doesn't match the rest of the movie. But you get Lee Van Cleef as Mortimer. You got the guy, you got the man with no name, and you got a bad guy in here, El Indio, who is like a scenery chewing guy. He runs a band of cutthroats. He's like addicted to opium, and he has this musical watch that plays before every duel, which is kind of cool until you realize it's like always a countdown to somebody's death in this thing. But Lee Van Cleef is a competing bounty hunter with the man with no name, and it kind of turns into a buddy western, but they ain't buddies at the start of the thing. And that kind of leads into one of my favorite scenes. But the first thing they have to do, we already know how badass the man with no name is. So we have to establish how badass Lee Van Cleef is, and his character is, the Colonel. We got to make sure we know that. So that kind of, he rolls into town at the beginning of this after he stops the train. And there's like this whole scene in the bar, and he goes after a guy, has a duel there. That whole moment, like Lee Van Cleef probably says more with just a raise of an eyebrow and a look in that scene than most actors can say, spilling out buckets of dialogue. And I always dig that, because I think film is about subtlety and acting is about subtlety. I say it all the time. It's easier to be crunk up to 11 and be way up here over the top shouting lines than it is to deliver what the character's thinking, his essence, his vibe, all this stuff with just subtle facial expressions without saying as much. And these guys put on a master class in it. And so that is like one of the big key scenes to me, because now we've established at the beginning of the movie, he's, as Samuel L. Jackson would say, he's a bad mother, so we have that scene. But then for me, the next big scene in this is when the two come together. And maybe a lot of people disagree, because there's lots of action in this, there's lots of other stuff, but one of my favorite scenes as a writer, a filmmaker, and just a fan watching two actors have a good scene is when Eastwood and Van Cleef are together and they're basically negotiating their friendship in a way. That's ultimately what it is, but they're negotiating their partnership in this to split, because there's like 14 bad guys, including the main guy who has a $10,000 reward on him, but the others have varying rewards of $4,000, $3,000, $2,000, $1,000. So there's a lot of money at stake here. Then you have them negotiating in this talk back and forth, because they both know each other is a badass. And Lee Van Cleef, who says he's 50 years old, who looks much older, 50 don't look the same now as it did then. And Clint Eastwood's supposed to be basically the whippersnapper little guy in this. One guy's been around, seen and done it, and the other guy is on his way to here, and it kind of fits with what's happening in real life with their ascension to being stars. And I just think it's a badass, simple scene delivered by two actors, and it's a key scene because it sets up their partnership for the whole thing, and I love it. I watched that scene twice. It's two actors going after it, and it's just really good. And I think that's a key scene in the movie too. And the whole movie, I mean, I think this is where Sergio Leone's like style that we think of comes in to its own, maybe even more so than like A Fistful of Dollars. It's in here. It's a few dollars more, and I'm not like a Sergio Leone expert, but like when I think of him, I think of like the like these super close-ups on eyeballs, big wide lenses that he uses, and all that kind of stuff. Long silences, minimal dialogue. All that kind of stuff is in here, and I think that's probably seen more in here. You could see it starting to come in there in the first movie, but I really feel like it just hits home on this. There's other things where it's like a overlay cut where you have two different things that are in focus. One thing's in the foreground, one thing's in the background. That has to be where film is laid together because you can't focus that way. So it just really looks good. It makes it look like it's popping out at you, and that's very cool. And in 4K, that shows up big time. So I really like that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to, because I know you guys want to hear about the 4K, but I really like the movie better than the first one. There's the iconic scene in the first one, right? That they redo in Back to the Future 3, but I really like this movie maybe a little bit more. And like I said, even though it's a sequel, and I think it's better than the original, I think it's better than the first movie. It's a sequel in name because he said so, only because it brings this character, because the plot lines aren't really connected, so it's not a sequel in that regard. So that's the sum up of the movie, and I promised you a Joe Bob Briggs style, my homage to him, because it is definitely, I got the idea to do this because it definitely feels like they ramp up. I mean, in sequels, you got to go up in body count. Even back in 1960s, right? You wanted to outdo yourself in the sequels. So I came up with it. So there's the AVA Pop Culture icon totals as my homage to Joe Bob Briggs. 27 dead bodies, 9 full-on duels in this movie, 2 bounty hunters, 1 absolutely sadistic, crazy outlaw, 1 awesome pocket watch with a deadly soundtrack. You've got gratuitous poncho wearing, mustache foo, rooftop rifle foo, and one of the greatest final shootouts in Western history. As Joe Bob Briggs would say, I would probably give this 5 exploding sombreros out of 5. And it is definitely ramped it up. Joe Bob, I love you. I've been watching Joe Bob since Monster Vision, going back, and then before that, Elvira. I'm so inspired. I always think about those guys when I'm reviewing movies. So that's my little homage to him. It gave me an idea because this thing definitely ramps up the dead body count. At least it feels like it to me. I didn't go back and count the others, but that is the movie. And let's get into the 4K just a little bit, because I mean, it's not just a Western. This is kind of like what cinema, like people's idea of Western cinema probably goes back to this movie with that style. And I think that you get a lot more of that style in here, and it lends itself to the 4K when you get these big wide shots and everything. I will say again, there's the spot at the beginning, the title sequence scene. Don't let that dissuade you from the rest of the 4K. I just don't think they could do the same thing with the source material on that because of the titles. That happens a lot. But that is definitely very grainy, very, very scratchy, all that kind of stuff. And then you see the next scene where Lee Van Cleef is on the train, and it pops out at you at 3D. There is a moment on that train, to me, where the guy is sitting with Lee Van Cleef on the train, where he looks like he had to be DNR'd a little bit. Maybe I can put it on here. Maybe you can notice. Maybe you can't. Standard disclaimer. It's my 4K camera recording a 4K screen. It's going to alter colors. It's going to alter clarity. Then it's getting uploaded here on YouTube. So all that standard disclaimer. You got to know that your mileage is going to vary. This is just reference footage. Just reference. So he looks a bit DNR'd to me, and my guess is, if that's the case, it's probably because that particular shot wasn't lit as well. Maybe it had a lot more grain on it that stood out in a bad way from the rest of the movie, so they had to clean it up a little bit to try to make it match better. That would be my guess, but it did stick out to me as overly smooth just a little bit. But just there, nowhere else in the movie did that happen. So it could have been, maybe it wasn't, but to my eyes, it looked like it had to have a little more work done to it to make it better match the rest of the movie. Like I said, it's a 4K restoration from the original 2perf, Technoscope negative. It's got Dolby Vision, all that. 5.1 audio, English subtitles. It's got a new audio commentary with film historian and Leone biographer Sir Christopher Frayling, an audio commentary by another film historian and critic, Tim Lucas. It's got the original Italian credits and an intermission separate from the main feature. And then on the disc 2, and I'm going to open this up in just a second, we get a Blu-ray that is chocked full of extra features. Some of them are ported over, some of them are new, but it is absolutely, all this, you guys, is extra features, just absolutely loaded. A violent tale of vengeance, a newly filmed interview with film historian and critic Fabio Melilli. Forgive me. No One Shoots at the Colonel, a newly filmed interview with filmmaker and Lee Van Cleef biographer Mike Malloy. Crafting the West, a newly filmed interview. So you've got a bunch of newly filmed interviews and stuff on here. A Timeless Voice, a newly filmed interview with singer Eddie Dell'Orso. For a few notes more, a newly filmed interview with Marconi biographer Alessandro De Rosa. New visual essays. You've got all kinds of stuff. Full archival featurettes, all that stuff on here. The interesting about Lee Van Cleef is this movie took him from being kind of a character actor in these to like making him an icon. Like, this is the movie that's known for that for a lot of people. So very cool to have so much extras. I'm going to open it up. So you got the artwork here on the front, on the slip cover, all that on the back. And again, the color differential between the slick slip and the here, it's just the color saturation is just startlingly less on this. I get that this is paper and a flat texture, but you still should be able to print just as rich color. But that is there. And then the back side here. And I still am going to maintain that I think this would have looked the coolest if the box were white, if it looked like this. If the box were white and then you had this on top of it. Because I think that looks super cool. It makes it all pop instead of just being all just colors of brown and orange and yellow. A white box with that on top would have popped out. So you're going to get your 2-disc set here. Let's see if there's anything in here that... Last Stop to Yuma County. We already know about that. So you got your 2 discs in here. Cool. You have the original artwork here. I do like this new artwork better than that, but it is reversible. And I just kind of wish the box were white, and I wish the box looked like this. I really do. I think that, man, that would leap off of our shelves. It would look so cool. So there is that. You're going to get your poster here, a double-sided one with the same artworks on it. There's the new art. I'm telling you, the box should look like this, in my opinion. And then the original artwork. This is much better, in my opinion. I like this way better. I wish the box looked like this. Got that Aero printer smell. I don't know what it is about that. And because see, like everything is on this. Imagine even flat, like if the box looked like this. That would have been it right there. So you got a booklet that's got all kinds of, it's got stuff on the cast and the crew, about the presentation, production credits. Let's go. You've got all kinds of pictures in here. All that kind of stuff, information. Let's go to information about the presentation, shall we? It's always towards the back here. Right here, so you can read about it yourself. It says, it has been exclusively restored by Aero Films. So this is Aero Films restoration. This is not, they didn't get this from Kino. And it's in its original aspect ratio of 2:35:1. The soundtrack's presented and restored in English mono. The 35mm 2-perf Technoscope camera negative was scanned and restored in 4K 16-bit resolution at L'Imagination Ritrovata in Bologna. I'm sure I didn't say any of that right. The film was further restored and color graded in SDR, HDR10, and Dolby Vision at Silver Salt Restoration in London. The original film and audio materials sourced for this new restoration were made available from Produzioni Uripe Associata PEA. Materials were delivered. I mean, it tells you everything. Additional English picture and audio materials were made available by Amazon and MGM Studios. Principal audio and restoration on the original mono track was completed by Bad Princess Productions. So, I mean, it tells you everything you want to know. It tells you who oversaw it at Arrow: James Flower, James Piercy, James White. Lots of James. So I think that's pretty cool. I like the transparency there. The Man with No Name and The Man in Black here. The 4K is really damn good, y'all. It's really good. The lit scenes just look outstanding outside. You got all this widescreen stuff. I don't have the Kino to compare it to, but it is a damn good 4K. I mean, picture-wise, because it's a 2-perf, because it's prone to grain and all that kind of stuff, I mean, the colors leap out on this, but you do have some of those things. And then with like the opening credits, you have kind of those little bit of issues there. And then maybe that DNR there to try to make that match. I mean, I can't swear that was DNR'd, but if you watch it, watch this guy in this little scene on the train. He looks like he's made out of wax and everything is completely smooth. But I'm guessing if they had to do that, that's a closer match to the real footage than it would be if it was bad footage on him and overly grainy and stuff like that, or it could have been scratched to hell and back and they had to fix it. So, and it's just for a couple seconds here and there. So I caught it. Maybe nobody else ever will. You definitely will catch the opening though. You're gonna be like, this is grainy as shit, man. But that's why, because it has to do with the title sequence. Don't give up on it. The rest of the film goes way up here in terms of quality. But if I'm ranking this, giving it my 4K reviews, hopefully I've given you some footage to look at throughout this thing, because it's really good. I love seeing those colors pop. If I'm giving it a ranking picture-wise for what it is, I don't, because of the quality of the film and the 2-perf and the way it is, I don't know that you can really give it. I think a 9 to a 9.25 in picture quality is as high as it could ever go because of those things. So I'm going to give the picture quality on this thing like a 8.75 or a 9. I think it's the best that it can be. It cannot be done better. I do not believe it can be done better in any way, shape, or form. You're just limited sometimes by your source material. So I'm going to give it 8.75 to 9 picture. I think it's the best it can be. Audio, I do not have an Atmos setup. I do not have, I don't even have a full 5.1 setup right now. So the best that I can give it is, I usually say like an 8.5 is the best I can give anything without a full Atmos setup. So I'm just going to give the audio on it, I don't know, probably a 7.5 or something. I did have to turn up a little bit to hear their dialogue, but that could also be my setting. So that your mileage may vary. I don't like to really review audio because I don't have the proper audio set up to do it. So whether I can hear it clearly or not. And overall, should you get it? If you're a fan, I am not the biggest Western guy. I am not. There's only a handful of Westerns that I want to buy, own, collect, because I'm just not the biggest Western guy. I never have been. I watched a ton of them growing up. They were always on. We had 6 channels in the house. My great-grandfather was always going to be watching them. My dad would watch them, although he wasn't the biggest Western guy either. He was a big action, B-movie, 80s action movie, horror movie guy. So, just not the biggest, but I think these are kind of like must-owns. I think overall, when you factor in the extra features, I think the extra features are like a 9.5 out of 10. They're about as good as you can get. It's loaded down. So I think when you factor all that, this is about a 9 out of 10 on delivery on this. So that is damn good. I think that puts it in the absolute must-own category, especially if you're a Clint Eastwood fan, you're a Western fan. There's no question. This is The Empire Strikes Back to me, because it's better than the first one in my opinion. But I really did enjoy it, and that's what I got for you this time. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you're going to grab this one. Arrow, they were a little rocky start to the beginning of the year, but man, with some of these announcements that are coming out, they are just to the moon, baby. They are taking off, and this is another great release right here. And I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like, subscribe, ring the bell so that you don't miss anything. I do all kinds of stuff here. If you guys follow me, I do big 4K reviews like this from a fan and filmmaker's perspective. I make movies for a living besides doing this and other stuff. That's what I do. And I write a lot, so I do a lot of things, and I share it all with you because I do lists, rankings, recommendation videos, all that stuff because I just love talking movies. And if you enjoyed this and you want to help support that, you can join my YouTube channel, become a channel member, but I'd push you over there to my Patreon because I can do everything over there uncensored. That's like unfiltered Chase videos over there that I can't put on YouTube, kind of like after dark videos and things like that, that we just don't have to worry about copyright or censorship or anything. But no matter where you join, I really do appreciate it. So you're going to get your name and lights on every single video, behind the scenes looks at my filmmaking, special members only videos, and so much more. And it all goes back into the channel, and I really do appreciate it. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and remember, when the music stops, draw. Bye-bye. I know.